Can a movie actually kill the people who made it? In 1982, Hollywood released Poltergeist. A family, evil spirits, darkness following innocent people home. Nobody thought it was real. Then the cast started dying. A 22-year-old strangled in her own driveway. A 12-year-old who died on an operating table. A man who filmed a horror movie while cancer was consuming him alive. A shaman who tried to lift the curse and died anyway. 4 lead actors, 6 years. One pattern nobody could explain. Was it a coincidence? Or did something follow them home? Dominique Dunne, the eldest daughter who never came home. In 1982, audiences met Dana Freeling, the bold, sharp-tongued eldest sister of the Freeling family. She was played by 22-year-old Dominique Dunne, a young actress with her whole career ahead of her. You know, the background. Dominique came from a Hollywood family. Her father was the legendary writer Dominique Dunne. She attended prestigious schools, moved in creative circles, and landed the role of Dana in Poltergeist as one of her first major film appearances. The relationship. At the time of filming, Dominique was in a relationship with John Thomas Sweeney, a 26-year-old chef at a famous West Hollywood restaurant. The relationship had turned controlling and abusive. Dominique ended it. She told Sweeney it was over and asked him to leave her life. He didn't accept it. The crime. October 30th, 1982. Halloween Eve, West Hollywood, California. Sweeney showed up uninvited at her home on Rangeley Avenue. When she refused to take him back, he grabbed her by the throat in her own driveway and choked her for 4 minutes, until she went completely limp and unconscious. Then he walked away and left her on the ground. The end. Dominique was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and placed on life support. She never regained consciousness. On November 4th, 1982, her family removed her from life support. Her organs were donated. She was 22 years old. John Sweeney was convicted of voluntary manslaughter, not murder, and served less than 3 years in prison. 3 years. For strangling a 22-year-old woman in her own driveway. The film was released in June 1982, just months before her death. Her character was quietly written out of the sequels. The studio told audiences Dana had gone off to college. The truth was far darker. I'm Julian Beck, the man who played Death While Dying. If you have seen Poltergeist, 2. The Other Side, you never forgot the face of Reverend Henry Kane. Hollow cheeks, sunken eyes, paper-thin skin stretched over bones, a smile that felt like a warning. He walks toward the camera and he looks like death itself. That performance was not just acting. The background. Julian Beck was already a legend before Hollywood found him. He co-founded the Living Theater in 1947. One of the most influential experimental theater companies in American history. He was a poet, a painter, a thinker, a man who spent decades doing exactly what he believed in. The diagnosis. Beck had been battling stomach cancer for over a year when filming on Poltergeist. 2 began in spring 1985. He knew his prognosis was not good. He took the role anyway. And he showed up to set every single day and gave everything he had left. The performance. Every frame of his appearance in that film shows a man being consumed from the inside. The hollowness, the fragility, the intensity, none of it was makeup. It was real. The end. Julian Beck died on September 14th, 1985, at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. He was 60 years old. Poltergeist 2 was released in May 1986, 8 months after his death. He never saw his own performance on screen. In 2004, he was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame, one of the most chilling performances in horror history, delivered by a dying man who poured every last piece of himself into a role the world would remember forever. Will Sampson, the shaman who tried to lift the curse. Will Sampson was not just playing a shaman in Poltergeist 2. He was one. The background. Born in 1933 on the Muskogee Nation Reservation in Oklahoma, Samson was a painter, rodeo performer, and man of deep spiritual tradition. Most of the world knew him as Chief Bromden in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, alongside Jack Nicholson, one of the greatest performances of the 1970s. In Poltergeist 2, he played Taylor, the Native American shaman brought in to protect the Freeling family from the evil pursuing them. The Ritual. After production wrapped, Samson believed the set carried genuine dark energy. Not movie dark, actually dark. As a real-life shaman, he performed a full spiritual cleansing ceremony, walking through those spaces, conducting rituals intended to expel whatever had attached itself to the production. He was trying, in the most literal way he knew how, to lift the curse. Now, the illness. Samson had been living with scleroderma, a degenerative autoimmune disease, for years. By 1987, his condition required a heart-lung transplant. He was severely malnourished going into the surgery. Post-operation, his kidneys failed, and a fungal infection spread through his body. The end. Will Samson died on June 3, 1987, in a Houston hospital. He was 53 years old, the man who played the protector, the man who tried to cleanse the curse, gone within a year of the film's release. Heather O'Rourke, the little girl who said, "They're here." This one is different. This one is the one that breaks people. She was 5 years old when Steven Spielberg spotted her in the MGM Studios commissary and told her mother she should audition. That moment changed everything and started a clock nobody knew was running. On the background, Heather O'Rourke was born December 27, 1975 in Oceanside, California. She had no acting experience before Poltergeist. She became Carol Ann Freeling, the heart of the entire franchise, and appeared in all 3 films. She sat in front of a glowing television screen, pressed her tiny hands against the glass, and delivered 2 words that stopped America cold. "They're here." Audiences watched her grow up on screen. She was beloved. She was innocent. She was a child. The misdiagnosis. In 1987, during production of Poltergeist 3, Heather began showing symptoms. Fatigue, stomach pain, facial swelling. Her doctors diagnosed her with Crohn's disease and began treatment. They were wrong. The truth. Heather did not have Crohn's disease. She had a congenital intestinal stenosis, a dangerous narrowing of the intestine she had been born with that had never been detected. The treatments she was receiving were doing nothing to address what was actually killing her. Filming continued. Heather showed up. She worked. She trusted the adults who told her she was being taken care of. The end. On February 1st, 1988, Heather went into septic shock. She was rushed to Children's Hospital in San Diego. Emergency surgery was performed. She died on the operating table. She was 12 years old. Director Gary Sherman begged MGM not to release Poltergeist 3 out of respect for Heather. MGM released it anyway, 4 months after her death. With a reshot ending using a body double, audiences watched Heather O'Rourke on screen that summer, not knowing they were watching a ghost. The ones. The curse barely missed the darkness, didn't only kill. Sometimes it stopped just short. Richard Lawson boarded U.S. Air Flight 405 in 1992. Last minute, he got bumped to first class. The plane crashed. 27 died, all in the rear rows. Where he was originally sitting, 1 seat. That was it. Oliver Robbins. On set, the clown prop malfunctioned and started actually strangling him. The crew watched. They thought he was acting. Spielberg pulled the toy off the boy just in time. Lou Perryman played a construction worker. 3 scenes. In 2009, a stranger with no motive broke into his home and killed him with an axe. Minor role. Decades later. It didn't matter, the curse found him anyway. The pattern nobody can explain. 4 lead actors, 6 years, all dead. A plane crash missed 1 seat. A child saved by 30 seconds. A man axed to death over a role nobody remembered. Skeptics say people die. Tragedy is random. Maybe. But Dominique was 22. Heather was 12. Beck never saw his own film. Samson tried to lift the curse and it buried him too. Real skeletons. Real deaths. Real people. Curse or coincidence? You decide. Subscribe. Some curses don't stay on screen.